Hi, this is Tatiana Moroz, and you're listening to Journalistic Revolution.
Hello, fellow lovers of liberty. My name is Matthew Dalton.
And I'm Robert Wasmund, and welcome back to the Journalistic Revolution. Conspiracy theorist! This is what I hear from people when I question any official story. I will even admit that I used to consider myself one, and I even still hold that some theories are more truth than the official stories.
There is a stigma that comes with the term conspiracy theorist. It is not surprising to see many people on the internet writing about conspiracy theories in a condescending tone, usually with the words Kool-Aid, crackpot, or nut job in their articulation. This must be obvious to anyone that emotionally writing about such serious matters insults the reader more than the conspiracy theorist, because there is no need to resort to this kind of behavior.
Now, before you go thinking that we're defending the tactics of the conspiracy theory community, they don't much do to help their image in the community. Exhibit A is the recent Alex Jones Pierre Morgan's interview, in which he shouted many facts and statistics that were completely and absolutely true and verifiable. But what is everybody talking about? The fact that he was right, or the fact that he was yelling and screaming? I will even defend him by saying that it's extremely frustrating to spread facts about an event because the newspaper, government, or expert said otherwise. I must be a conspiracy theorist, therefore I must be ignored and ridiculed. Maybe he just got trigger happy knowing that he had a different, more mainstream audience. I don't know. And honestly, the point of this segment of the show isn't to defend him or even any present-day conspiracies.
We're going to prove that conspiracies are real, provable, and have happened throughout history. My goal is to help remind those, or our goal is to help remind those who like to call themselves open-minded, that conspiracies have happened, and there's no evidence to show that there is any reason they would stop in today's world.
We will not debate or disagree that there's a binder full of conspiracies. You see what I did there? Right? That are full of lies, mistruths, and exaggerations. I do not believe that the planes on 9/11 were holograms. I do not put stock into lizard people, Nibiru, mole people, alien influence, or even that Colonel Sanders was KKK. It's a real conspiracy. Google it.
To make this simple, I will give an example of a logical fallacy or a write-off, then give an example, and Robert will give an example of it happening in the past. There is no way for a large organization to stay secret for so long.
Well, it is true that it's hard to keep a secret society, secret. It is also true that the Mafia was a secret crime society that was virtually unknown until the 1960s, when member Joe Valachi first revealed the society's secrets to law enforcement officials. What was known was that the organized crime existed, but not the extent of their control, working with the CIA, politicians, and the biggest businesses in the world.
The government would never do that to its own people.
MKUltra, which is often cited by present-day theorists like Alex Jones, did exist in the 1950s into the 1970s. The CIA ran a mind control project aimed at finding a truth serum to use on communist spies. Test subjects were given LSD and other drugs without consent, and some were even tortured. At least one man, civilian biochemist Frank Olson, who was working with the government, died as a result of these experiments. The project was finally exposed after the investigations of the Rockefeller Commission.
For these conspiracies to be true, you would need hundreds, if not thousands of people to be involved. It's just not conceivable.
The Manhattan Project? Because that was the code name for a project conducted during World War II to develop the first atomic bomb. The project was led by the United States and it included participations from the United Kingdom and Canada. Formerly designated as the Manhattan Engineer District, or the MAD, it refers specifically to a period of the project from 1942 to 1946, under the control of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers under the general administration of General Leslie R. Groves. The scientific research was directed by American physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer, and the project's roots lay in scientists' fears since the 1930s that Nazi Germany was also investigating nuclear weapons of its own. Born out of a small research program in 1939, the Manhattan Project eventually employed more than 130,000 people and cost nearly $2 billion. That's $22 billion in today's current value. It resulted in the creation of multiple production and research sites that operated in secret. With the total involved, this makes it one of the largest conspiracies in history. Entire towns were built for short periods in time, employing people under secrecy and top national security at that. The government never admitted to it, the media never reported on it, and people had no idea for over 25 years. Project research took place over 30 sites across the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom.
Oh, come on. The news would have reported on it by now.
Well, in the 1950s to the 1970s, the CIA did pay a number of well-known domestic and foreign journalists from big-name medias like The Time, Washington Post, The New York Times, CBS, and others. They published CIA propaganda. The CIA also reportedly funded at least one movie, the animated Animal Farm by George Orwell. The Church Committee finally exposed the activities in 1975.
Are you ridiculous? The government would never experiment on its own people.
The United States Public Health Service carried out this clinical study on 400 poor African-American men with syphilis from the years 1932 to 1972. During the study, the men were given false and sometimes dangerous treatments. Inadequate treatment was intentionally withheld from so the agency could learn more about the disease. While the study was initially supposed to last just 6 months, it continued for over 40 years. Close to 200 of the men died from syphilis or related complications by the end of the study.
You really believe that the government would intentionally lie to us?
Well, there was this case of a 15-year-old girl named Nayahara. She testified before the U.S. Congress that she had seen Iraqi soldiers pulling Kuwaiti babies from incubators, causing them to die. The testimony helped gain major public support for the 1991 Gulf War. But despite protests and people saying that the story itself was a conspiracy theory, it was later discovered that the testimony was false. The public relations firm Hill & Knowlton, which was in the employ of Citizens for a Free Kuwait, had arranged the testimony. It turned out that she had taken acting lessons, which was on request by the CIA, and was actually the niece of a major Kuwait politician. Nahira was later discovered to be Nayahira al-Sabar, daughter of Saad bin Nasser al-Sabah, of Kuwaiti ambassador to the USA.
What? You're such a nut. Controlled opposition? Are you kidding me?
COINTELPRO. It's an acronym for Counterintelligence Program. It was a series of covert and often illegal projects conducted by the United States Federal Bureau of Investigations, aimed at investigating, disrupting dissent political organizations within the United States. Sound like libertarians or Tea Party people to you? The FBI used covert operations from its inception. However, formal COINTELPRO operations took place between 1956 and 1971. The FBI's stated motivation at the time was protecting national security, preventing violence, and maintaining and existing a social and political order. According to FBI records, 85% of COINTELPRO resources were expended on infiltrating, disrupting, marginalizing, or subverting groups suspected of being subversive, such as, communist and socialist organizations, the women's rights movement, militant black nationalist groups, and the nonviolent civil rights movement, including individuals such as Martin Luther King Jr. and others associated with the Southern Christian Leadership Conference and the National Associations for the Advancement of Colored People, the Congress of Racial Equality, the American Indian Movement, and other civil rights groups. A broad range of organizations labeled the New Left, including Students for a Democratic Society, a National Lawyers Guild, the Weathermen, and almost all groups protesting the Vietnam War, and even individual student demonstrators with no group affiliation. The nationalist groups such as those seeking independence for Puerto Rico. The list goes on and on. For every conspiracy theory out there that isn't true, there's one that is. And if you say otherwise, you work for the lizard people. I'm just joshing with you. But seriously, if you try to say that these things don't exist, or even that the people who try to inform others that they do exist are hurting the movement, they are the movement. Throughout all of those conspiracies of the past, there were people trying to let you know they were happening.
Even our treasured Ron Paul believes in conspiracies. Ron Paul has been talking on the idea of a NAFTA superhighway since 2006. One of his favorite theories suggests a conspiracy to connect the United States, Mexico, and Canada with one giant road, eliminating U.S. sovereignty. He explains the idea in a post on libertarian commentator Lou Rockwell's blog. This superhighway would connect Mexico, the United States, and Canada, cutting a wide swath through the middle of Texas and up through Kansas City. Offshoots would connect the main artery to the West Coast, Florida, and Northeast. Proponents envision a 10-lane colossus the width of several football fields, with freight and rail lines, fiber optic cable lines, and oil and natural gas pipelines running alongside. When asked about 9/11 truth, he said, "Just think of what happened after 9/11. Immediately before there was any assessment, there was glee in the administration because now we could invade Iraq."
Our point is many of you are focusing on the messenger and not the message. Are there conspiracies out there that make you slap yourself in the forehead and ask why anybody could ever believe that? Yep, I got the dent to prove it. All right. Does that discredit every single theory that's out there? No. What are you, stupid? That's the same logic that liberals use to take your guns away. That person is crazy and he shot people. Therefore, all people with guns will go crazy and shoot people. So we got to get rid of all the guns. I'd rather be lumped together and associated with the nut jobs and the conspiracy theorists than use such logical fallacies that kept me such an uninformed person for such a very long time. If you're going to hate us or disassociate with us because do it because we're wrong, please. Improve it with facts, and not because I question official stories or I have my own ideas of what it might have actually happened. Because in reality, aren't we all supporting Ron Paul because we believe in one conspiracy or another?
So I'm saying, peace outside, I'll see you.